Okay, students. Now, regarding the conditional statement, same as the other programming language, PHP is supporting different types of if statements. So, for example, we have the simple if statement, we have if-else statement, in addition to the if-else if statement. So, let us take example about one of the if statements. So, for example, if here I declare variable, or let us number variable, I will say $sign, for example, my number is equal 100, then I can use if statement to check the value of the variable. So I will say if $sign my number is greater than 100, then I want to display is it true, is it greater than 100. So I will put between double quotation true. Now this is a very simple statement, if statement. So when I run the code, should display nothing because the number is not greater than 100. Then I can, for example, update this by writing else. If it's not greater than 100, so that means it's less than or equal. In this case, I will say false is not greater than. So here I will say echo, then I will say here false. So here the output should be what? Should be false because the condition is false. So my number is greater than 100? No. Now if this condition is true, this statement will be executed. But if this condition is false, this condition is, or this statement will be executed. Now if I want, for example, here to use if-else if statement, as we can find here in this example, so just I put the condition, else if I put another condition, and so on. So for example, let me just write the example here. If my number is greater than 100, if it's true, then I display, I will type here is greater than 100. Now else if, then here in this case I will put another condition, my number is less than 100. So I will put here, if it's true, then I will put here less than 100. Now if it's not greater than 100, is not less than 100, that means it's what? Else it's equal to 100. So I will put echo, so equal to 100. So here in this case I use if else statement. If this condition is true, display is greater than 100. Now if this one is false, we'll check another condition. If it's less than 100, we'll display less than 100. Now if this condition is false and this condition is false, that means for sure is equal to 100, so we'll display this statement. Now what was the output? For sure should be equal to 100. Now what about if I change the value of this variable to be 99, and when I run this code again, this will display to me less than 100. So that means the if statement it's working correctly. So please practice all of these examples about the conditional statement. Also, as the other programming language, PHP is supporting different statements of loops like while loop, do while loop, and for loop statements. So for example, here if I want to display the values from 1 to 5, here the variable is declared, x is equal 1. Then I'm checking if x is less than, if this condition is true, less than or equal 5, then I can display the value of x. So we can try it here very quickly. I will delete this. I will declare x, the initial value of the variable x is equal 1. I will write while loop, I will put the condition if the value of x is less than or equal 5, if it's still less than or equal 5, then I open the beginning and end of the while loop. Now what I will repeat inside the loop, I want to display the value of x, so I will say echo and display the value of x, so $x. Now if I want to display also the in a separate line, I will add the HTML tag br, then close the statement. Then after that, sorry, here should be echo. Then every time I will increment the value of x by 1. So now when I run this code, okay, so here I think is the mistake. Yeah, so here I'll look at the output 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now remember, if I remove this one, BR, and run the code again, so the output will be in horizontal line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so BR I use it to display each output in separate line. So I can use while loop. The same statement I can write it with do while, but the condition should be written at the end of the statement, as we can find here. Here we put the condition, not in the beginning of the while loop. The same thing for the for loop, the initial value, the condition, and the increment. So I can rewrite this statement with the for loop. So for the initial value $x is equal 1, then $x is less than or equal 5, then $x is incremented by 1. The beginning and ending of the loop, and inside the loop I will write echo, and again is the value of x. If I want it in separate line, I use br, then in the statement. So when I run it, will give me the same output as I did just now with the while loop, and the same thing for the do while if you want to practice it. Now the last thing we have here is about the PHP functions, that of course all of us know what's the meaning of function, as with the other programming language, which is block of a statement that can be used repeatedly in the program. Now the function will not be executed automatically when the page load. We have to remember that. So a function will be executed in which case if we call the function. How to create a function in PHP? We have to use the keyword function, then the function name, and then we write the code that need to be executed by using the function. So as here in this example, if I want to display my name, I will show you the example here. So I can use function. For example, I will call it display function. It has no arguments. Then very simply, this function is just to display this text, Sohar University. Only that. Now when I run this code, as you can find here, no output, even I have echo statement, because I didn't call the function. So outside the function, I need to call the function. I will write the name of the function. So here in this case, we'll display Sohar University. Why? Because we said here the function will not execute it automatically. We need to call the function as I did just now by calling the function. Now regarding argument, if we want to declare a function with argument, as we can find here, this function, it has argument, and then I can display the output by send the value to the function. So I can change my function here. It has arguments. For example, I will say the argument is name, and the function will display the name I send to the function. So now it's different. So when I call the function, I will send my name to the function. So when I run it, here in this case will display my name. Now if I change the value here to Sohar and run it again, of course will display Sohar. So I can write function with no argument or with the argument as we did just now, one argument or two arguments. So it depends on the function that you are going to create. Now we have to remember this, or we have to consider this. PHP is loosely typed language. So as we have noticed, when we declare variable, when we create a function, there is no data type. I didn't mention about string or number or boolean or float. So here in this case, of course we can create function, but if you want to use the data type, here in this case we have to use a keyword. It's called strict. So with strict here we can use the data type. So again, the data types are not required in PHP if it's not enabled. The strict this one, the strict keyword, if it's not enabled when we write the code in PHP, the data type, it will be automatically associated to the variables. But if you want the variables and the functions and the return type to be data typed, in this case you have to declare strict. Now, as we can find here in this example, A and B are integers, considered as integer. Even I send string to B, but it will be considered as integer, will not give me error because strict is not enabled. Now, how to enable this strict? Then the data type should be specified when we declare variables or function arguments or the return type of arguments. Now, to enable the strict declaration, here with the PHP tag, you write declare strict types is equal 1. So that means the strict is required. So when I declare variables with the data type, I can use the data type. And look now, when I send string to this variable, this one is integer and I'm sending string. Here in this case will generate what? Error. So here, for example, with this function will return value, and again we enable the strict requirements. So here the two arguments are integers, and when we send the value must be integers, cannot be string. So here in this case the data type, it's of course considered because the strict types are enabled. Again, for the same thing for the return type declaration can be stricted. So as we can find here, we declare the strict, we enable it, and the strict here for the return is a float. So I'm sending two float values, and the return value, it will be float. So you have to make sure that the return is the correct type when we declare a function. This is another example about strict, because here the return type is integer. So after we find the summation of two float, it will be converted into integer, then it will not give me error. So it's correct in this case. So if you want to enable to declare the data types of the variables, of the arguments, or the return type of the function, you have to enable the strict by using this statement, declare strict type is equal 1. In this case, you are required to declare the data type of any variable or argument in PHP. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best.